Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the Commission on Elections forms a task force to act on incidents of vote buying even without formal complaints. The poll body orders a review of its contract with sSartmatic following claims of a security breach. And two Comelec departments are looking into proposing additional penalties for candidates who fail to attend debates. Comelec Commissioner George Garcia joins us live. An interagency task force has been formed to tackle vote buying just a month before the elections. Task Force Contra Bigay will be headed by Comelec Commissioner Amy Ferolino and will be assisted by the Justice Department and the National Bureau of Investigation. Meantime, the Commission on Elections moves to address issues of an alleged security breach and candidates skipping debates. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Comelec Commissioner George Garcia. Commissioner Garcia, welcome to the source. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Ma'am Pinky, and good morning to all the televiewers.
So Commissioner Ferolino will be heading Contra Bigay. I understand this is an interagency task force, the purpose of which is to investigate vote buying. First question, sir, why Commissioner Ferolino was chosen to head the task force?
Yeah, simply because of her proven integrity, and at the same time, Commissioner Ferolino has vast experience in the field. You know, for the sake of our people, Commissioner Ferolino is actually formerly a field official of the Commission on Election before her appointment at the Commission on Election. So we honestly believe that because of her experience, because she knows very well the ins and outs of instances or cases involving vote buying, then she's actually the best woman for the job, and definitely she will go after these vote buyers and vote sellers at the same time.
Yeah. When you say field commissioner, ano ba ang trabaho nun?
Ano po, dati po siyang si Commissioner Ferolino, dati po siyang election officer, pagkatapos naging provincial election supervisor po sa ating Comelec. And so, because of this experience, he knows the people. He knows the different groups that we should talk to when it comes to vote buying and vote selling. At the same time, he knows the Comelec officials in the field. So medyo magiging madali po so that it's very easy to coordinate, especially may mga reports. Sabi nga natin, we will take cognizance of issues of vote buying even without formal complaints.
Kumbaga parang meron na po siyang hands-on experience, especially sa mga tao sa iba't ibang mga lugar. Just to be clear on this, the task force, it's a task force that includes who? The Department of Justice and its NBI and anyone else?
And we likewise included the Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Philippine National Police, as well as the Philippine Information Agency, at least for a greater and wider dissemination of information. We are likewise asking the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the PNP for at least sa law enforcement side natin. And therefore, we decided really to make it a multi-agency task force para po mas effective yung ating campaign, para po mas katakutan naman yung gagawin ng Comelec, because they will be facing, just in case after investigation, not only disqualification cases in the case of candidates, but likewise election offense cases, kahit yung mga tao ng mga kandidato, 1 to 6 years imprisonment.
Opo. Commissioner Garcia, ito ho ba ay nag-umpisa na? I know, of course, this was formed recently. O mag-uumpisa pa lang? Are they still gathering? And siguro po, naghahanap pa po sila ng mga tao to form this task force?
Yung task force, ma'am, magsisimula na po yan. Masigurado ang kauna-unahang gagawin without preempting our good Commissioner Ferolino na sa kanyang magiging aksyon ay yung patatawag ang lahat ng mga partner agency natin. But at the same time, even before the creation or the activation of the task force, noong mga nakaraang linggo po, madami tayong nabalitaan sa social media, sa traditional media involving vote buying. That's why we, even without the activation yet, dito pong ng ating task force kontra bigay, ang ginawa po natin, we directed our field personnel to immediately investigate and submit the reports to our law department, at least for purposes of preliminary findings, and at the same time so that kapag nagkaroon na po ng task force, take note po, maliban sa magko-conduct tayo kaagad ng full-blown investigation on each every allegation, meron po kaming prosecutorial arm ang Department of Justice. And so, mas mabilis na mabilis po yung prosecution and weighing of evidence, yung kung ano ba yung credible evidence at ano ba yung hindi. Because sa laban pong ito, Ma'am Pinky, tatandaan po natin, para din po sa kaalaman ng mga kababayan natin, it's very difficult to prosecute crimes like this simply because na medyo mahirap mangalap ng mga ebidensya, ng mga testimonya. And we do not want the courts dismissing our cases. Nakakahiya po. Wala na pong maniniwala sa Comelec sa susunod o sa task force kung ang lahat ng kasong mapafile namin ay madidismiss. That's why we really rely solely sa atin po, sa ating mga magagaling na mga prosecutors ng DOJ.
So meron na pong iniimbestigahan yung law department, sabi niyo po a while ago, and then all the findings will be turned over to Commissioner Ferolino. So let's talk about, siguro po in general terms, kasi pag sinabi pong we're talking about vote buying, but as you mentioned maybe twice already during this interview, it's vote buying and vote selling. So in general terms, sabihin po natin, kasi sabi nyo nga in social media, meron na po tayong nakikita. Number one, are social media posts enough for the task force to motu proprio investigate an incident?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely, these are merely maybe at this point allegations. Yung iba naman dyan, credible news. Yung iba naman dyan, fake news. But we cannot set aside yung mga ganitong klaseng allegations, yung mga ganitong klaseng nakikita natin. This only, it's a very good indication na yung mga mamamayan natin ay may goodness of intention at talagang aktibo sila using modern technology para lamang mapigilan ang vote buying sa ating bansa. And therefore, we cannot set aside this video appearing sa mga social media.
But when does it become credible, sir? Because you have a point there. They could be real, or they could be credible, or they could be fake. Ano po? Sabihin po natin, totoong nangyari sa isang rally, o pwede naman hindi talaga ng rally, hindi nangyari pero sinisiraan lang po yung kandidato.
Naku, we are fully aware of things like that, Ma'am Pinky. Definitely, madami pong ganyan. Madami po minsan drama-drama nagagawa ng video palalagay sa social media para lang siraan. Tama po yan. But we cannot set aside yung mga gantong video. Paano kung totoo po? Paano kung credible naman po? That's why we have the NBI. So yung NBI po ay atin pong itatalaga para mag-imbestiga. Mangalap po ng mga testimonya, ako po yung taong ito, ako po yung kumuha ng video, naandito po ako present po sa araw na yan, ako po mismo yung binigyan, tinanggihan ko po, nandun po ako sa tabi nung binigyan. So maganda po yan, we will have documentary evidence, at the same time, we will have testimonial evidence. Pag pinagsama-sama yon, do we have now a case? Is there probable cause to charge this person, this individual, of the offense of vote buying or vote selling? So that, pagdating po sa court, remember po when we go to court, since this is a criminal case, the evidence required, Ma'am Pinky, is evidence of guilt beyond reasonable doubt. So iba yung ebidensya sa investigation, iba yung ebidensya pagdating sa korte. Yun, we should be very, very careful tungkol sa bagay na yan. Ayaw nating may madismiss ang court sa mga cases na ipafile natin.
Here's the thing, sir. Commissioner, is it important kung kukuha po ng ebidensya via social media, could a case still prosper even without a testimony from the person who actually took the video?
Ang problem, ma'am, kung ako lang po this is an opinion coming from a former practitioner, kung social media post lang, that may not stand scrutiny of the court, even by a prosecutor. Wala pong, baka po hindi mag-prosper siya as a case with probable cause. Simply because ito po, sa law on evidence po namin, and this is for our people to understand. Sa law on evidence, kung merong video taken of an event or an activity, then dapat po matestify po yun nung kumuha ng video. Dapat po matestify niya anong oras, saang lugar niya nakuha, at the same time anong ginamit niya sa pagkuha ng video na yon. Otherwise po, walang evidentiary value yung video o yung footages na yon. Kinakailangan matestify po yun. That's why, dyan po papasok, Ma'am Pinky, yung further investigation. Okay, we have the video. Katulad ng pinapakita niyo po sa ating sa mga TV screen. Meron tayong video na allegedly namimili. But the point is, sinong kumuha? Talaga bang naandun siya? Because they will, because to become, yes ma'am, to become a credible witness, then kung ano yung narinig, ano yung nakita, yun ang iyong inihahayag, yun ang pinapanumpaan mo. So otherwise, if we will just rely on simple videos, ay maniwala po kayo, sigurado magmula ngayon na inactivate natin ang task force kontra bigay. Ang daming video na lalabas na kahit hindi credible, and then mapipilitan kami mag-file ng cases only using the video. Naku, nakakahiya po. Yes, ma'am.
So basically what you're saying, Commissioner, is first of all, kung may video po pero hindi po aminin nung kumuha ng video, medyo malabo na po yun to prosper.
Hindi naman po, not necessarily. Like for example, alam mo naman using the video, alam mo kung nasaan location, saan yung lugar. So, dan po papasok yung aming pong investigation. Hindi pa pwedeng nakarely lang kami sa video. Video will only be a guide. We can send team there and BI people or even our field personnel report to us. Ang report is, talaga ba nangyari ito? Ito yung exact location. Please gather evidence ng mga testimonya ng mga tao, or at the same time, baka may documentary evidence. Like for example, yung binabigyan, hanggang ngayon, nasa kanya yung sobre na naglalaman ng amount na yon. At so, may testimonya na siya, meron pang documentary evidence, not using the video by itself, then a case can stand in court using all of these documents and evidence.
Would you submit, though, that this might be a little bit difficult?
Yes, I will admit, ma'am, it's very difficult. That's the reason why, number one, task force talaga po ito. Hindi pa pwedeng commission election lang. Kaya, although kami po ay may kakayanan, we really need the support of everyone. Lalo-lalo na po, Ma'am Pinky, ang media, lalong-lalo na rin po ang ating mga kababayan. And at the same time, tingnan niyo po in the past, wala halos tayong nakita na nakulong tungkol sa issue ng vote buying. Why? Because yung mga complainants nag-withdraw, natakot. Number one. Number two, dahil yung evidence na na-produce hindi credible, that will not stand scrutiny of our courts. Number three, yung ebidensya mismo nawala, nasira. So, yun ang mga bagay-bagay na hopefully maiiwasan at mawawala na for this election, and we can be able to prosecute somebody and imprison somebody.
Opo. Just before we go on a break, meron na hubang, because you mentioned it a while ago, na nahuli, na prosecute dahil sa vote buying or vote selling?
Sa akin pong more than 2 decades of practice, wala po akong naalala o nalaman na kulong patungkol sa issue ng vote buying. And that's the reason why we would like to emphasize, Pinky, before we take on a break, we would like to emphasize the seriousness of our resolve this election.
Okay, we need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Comelec Commissioner George Garcia. Commissioner, so let's talk about what we've seen on television and even in social media. May rally po. Kahit na po sino, sabihin natin, any presidential candidate for that matter. Tapos nagbigay po ng sobre eventually. But it said that it was, the same day that the local official, yung pong governor or mayor, ay yun din po talaga yung araw ng pamimigay nila ng ayuda sa kanilang constituents. How do you investigate this, or how can one move forward? And number two, mali ba yun?
Ma'am, hindi ko sasagutin yung substance, yung merits ng inyo pong sinabi, because mukhang alam ko yung event na binabanggit po ninyo. Kasi po, it's possible that the case will be filed before the Comelec and therefore we'll be able to solve. But ma'am, very important yung timeline Because alam niyo po, ina-anticipate ko rin as a former practitioner, alam ko rin po yung nasa isip ng isang napakagaling na lawyer at ang sasabihin nila, especially na may involved na local candidates. Now,
Yes.
nagkataon, may local candidates, paano kung biglang dumating yung mga national candidates doon sa parali na yun ng local candidates? Who are we going to charge? Are we going to charge the local candidates or are we going to charge even the national candidates? Can there be conspiracy in a crime of vote buying, and therefore the act of one can be and should be the act of all? Pwede po ba yung ganyan? Yung mga bagay na ganyan na which are legal issues, we will definitely resolve if the proper case is now filed and will reach the commission. And so I'm fully aware, the commission is fully aware of what transpired in several rallies reported in media, and hopefully these events ay makakarating sa ating task force at sila din mag-take cognizance.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, sir. It's a fair point because such incidents could be filed, could be a case study or even an issue before this task force. But I want to talk about this. There is a rally. Nagbigay po ng ayuda. Let's say it happens in the future, today or tomorrow po. Ang gusto ko lang po malaman, pinapayagan ho ba ito ng Comelec, nagbigay ng envelope kasi po ayuda. Yun po ang sasabihin. Hindi po in the past, sabihin po natin in the future. Is that an election offense? Is that vote buying?
Ma'am, ganito. That's why I emphasize clearly, and this is very important, the timeline. When was the ayuda given? You know why, ma'am? Because anticipate ko na, sasabihin ko na po sa inyo, baka kasi alam niyo naman yung mga makakasuhan namin, baka ma-set up na defense, pero sasabihin ko na po, simply because of the doctrine in Piñera versus Comelec. You know,
ano po yun?
Yung Piñera versus Comelec, Ma'am Pinky, says that and without preempting any action on the part of the commission, this is just for academic discussion. In the case of Piñera versus Comelec, the Supreme Court emphasized that even if a candidate filed his candidacy from October 1 to 8, for October 1 to 8, he is not yet considered a candidate until the first day of the campaign period, which in the case of the national position, 90 days before the election, and in the case of the local position, 45 days before the election. So technically, wala man na po tayong premature campaigning. That's why, ang sabi ko po, it's very important, the timeline. At the same time, sinong involved dito? So isipin niyo, ma'am, kung ang involved, and without absolving anybody, kung ang involved ay local, halimbawa, local ang involved, tapos ang local hindi covered, hindi mo siya makakasuhan, how do you connect that to other candidates? Because yung mismong principal ay hindi mo pwedeng kasuhan, how can there be accessories if there are no principal? Yun ang isang loophole ng ating, but at the same time, there should be legislation.
So kapag sinasabi niyo po kasing timeline, I understand, mas mahaba po kasi yung official start ng campaign season para sa national at kalahati po nun yung sa local. So what you're saying is based on that Supreme Court ruling, while the official campaign season has not begun, no such thing as vote buying is possible even if nagbigayan po ng pera. Kasi si local candidate, hindi pa, as long as hindi pa nag-uumpisa yung kanyang campaign season.
Yes, ma'am. That is the problem of our existing laws and jurisprudence on the matter.
And that's just, as you mentioned a while ago, this is really just for academic purposes based on jurisprudence, basically.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, understandable, sir. So, sinabi nyo na nga, ang hirap nito, no? It's a little hard to do, maybe more so catch, no? And as you mentioned, sa tagal niyo pong abogado, ay wala po kayong nabalitaan na nakulong dahil sa vote buying or vote selling.
Pinky, samantalahin ko rin po yung pagkakataon na ito sa inyong programa na after this election, this has been my advocacy ever since. We should revise our laws on election. Try to imagine, Ma'am Pinky, 1985 pa po yung Omnibus Election Code. Pumasok na yung 1987 Constitution. Napakadami na nangyari. Modern technology na nga ang pamimili. Hanggang ngayon po, 1985 Omnibus Election Code. These problems can be remedied even the so-called case of Peñera versus Comelec can be remedied if only we will amend our election laws. Otherwise, the Comelec will be forced to issue resolutions which to a certain extent may be considered as legislation, Ma'am Pinky. And we do not want to do that because we do not want the Supreme Court reversing our actions or our decisions on certain matters.
Understandable. So this needs to be an act in Congress. Siguro po sa susunod na Kongreso. Here's one more thing, just on this. No, si Senator Presidential Candidate Ping Lacson was saying that his camp was actually offered 500 pesos per head para po mag-attend at pumunta sa kanyang rally, to which he says hindi naman po talaga siya nagra-rally. Sabi po niya, he says this is the same crowd that attended the campaign rallies of other candidates. Is this something that Commissioner Ferulino would like to look into and possibly even speak to the camp of presidential candidate Ping Lacson?
Definitely, ma'am. I'm going to convey that information kay Commissioner Ferulino so that Commissioner Ferulino and the task force can take cognizance of that information po. Very important po yan. Alam niyo po, sana ang maging effort po natin, ang lahat tayo, hindi lamang po yung ma-report nyo sa amin, yung po mga pamimili ng boto, yung mag-a-attempt mamili ng boto, nagbebenta ng boto. Para hindi, kasama na rin po i-report nyo sa amin yung mga fake news na kumakalat na sasabihin yung kampong ito nabibigay ng ganyan. Yun naman pala, wala naman palang pamigay yung kampong ito, hindi nag-a-attempt mamigay. Nasira na yung camp na yun. We have to bring sanity back to this campaign. We have to put order to this campaign. Meaning to say, tama na po sana ang mga fake news, tama na yung mga batuhan na ganyan. But we should prevent any irregularity or anomaly or anomalies present that will be present in this campaign.
Still a lot of topics, Commissioner, no? Yung voters audit, yung cleansing ng voters list. I know that's ongoing. And I think there is a deadline of about April 18 or April 20. First, sir, hindi ba masyadong late na yon? And I know kakapasok niyo lang po sa Comelec, but shouldn't this have been done much earlier? Understandable, of course, 2 years of COVID. There are some who have unfortunately died and are still part of the voters list. Tell us more about the delisting and cleansing the voters list.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, medyo mali po yung mga kumalat kasi ng mga balita patungkol doon sa ngayon pa lang kami magke-cleansing. Mali po yon. Ito po yung tama. And I'm going later po, mga 10:30, I'm going to conduct a press briefing. Ibibigay ko po ang lahat ng detalye including the figures, the data, doon po sa mga binanggit nyo. But patungkol po sa mga sa cleansing process, it's actually a continuing process po yung cleansing. Since 2019, after the election, we are mandated under the law, Republic Act 8189, the so-called continuing registration law, to continuously clean the list of vote. The problem po yung naging issue nitong mga nakaraang 2 araw doon sa mga namatay na mga kababayan po natin, sabi po maaaring hindi natanggal o hindi matatanggal. Ang katotohanan po, under 8189, all civil registrars in the Philippines are required to submit to Comelec the list of those who died in a particular quarter. So quarterly po silang nagsasubmit. So kung halimbawa yung kapitbahay nyo, si Mang Jose namatay, even if alam nyo namatay si Mang Jose, kung hindi submit sa amin yan ng civil registrar, the election officer of our municipality cannot remove the name of Mang Jose.
Because there's no proof. Opo.
Correct, ma'am. At may problem din po na halimbawa po si Mang Jose naman nagka-COVID mula sa probinsya niya, dinala sa Maynila. Dito po sa Maynila, nawala ng buhay. Dito po siya namatay. So, ano pong gagawin? Yung civil registrar ng Manila, do we expect siya na mag-send ng certification mula sa Manila, papunta doon sa kung saan siya nanggaling? For example, in Nueva Ecija, hindi po gagawin nila yon unless yung family mismo magbigay ng death certificate sa opisina ng election officer. Yun po ay isang problem and it will require legislation. Kami po, ang gusto sana namin, even the National Statistics Authority by itself, the census will give us the list of those who died nationwide. Kami na lang po ang magdi-distribute sa iba't ibang election officers namin nationwide. But there is a problem. May fee po kasi, medyo malaki ng konti yung fee and therefore, hindi naman namin kakayanin bayaran lahat yon. Isipin niyo po, if there will be 10 million who died, for example, may babayaran po kami sa kanila, but it will require legislation. But just the same...
That's a little confusing, sir, ano? Because it's almost as if ito po yung kanilang trabaho, one of their jobs rather, is to inform, for example, the Comelec on who have died. And maybe that sounds, it may look sound that in general terms, yung buong population, yung mga namatay, padala na lang po sa inyo para kayo na po ang magdi-distribute sa iba't ibang division ng Comelec kung saan mang probinsya o lugar.
That's the best solution. That's the best
Pero
solution.
mahal po yun.
5 pesos po kasi per voter yung kanilang gustong i-charge. Hopefully nga sana libre na lang or hopefully po medyo mas mapababa pa. Kasi 5 pesos medyo pag kinumpute niyo po yun sa bawat dami na namamatay at napapadala sa amin, medyo the Comelec wala po sa budget namin. Pero ma'am, alam niyo ang isang solution po natin dyan, Ma'am Pinky, para po alam din ng mga kababayan natin, sa mga watchers po ng mga political parties, sa mga political parties candidates, siyempre po, sa loob ng presinto, meron pong libro, we call that the EDCVL. If you can remember, Ma'am Pinky, whenever you are voting, meron pong isang book na nagsasign po kayo, kinukuha yung serial number ng balota nyo. May picture po yun. Kung ang namatay po ay isang matanda na, nakatatanda natin, pagkatapos ng bumoboto, kitang-kita nyo, batang-bata, hindi nyo po ba i-object yun?
Questionin na dapat yun. Opo.
You have question. Opo. Number 1. Number 2, but you have to call the attention of the teacher. The teacher should be able to ask additional identification as far as the voter is concerned. Number 1 po yan. Pero ma'am, alam nyo ang worry, ang dapat din nating malalaman, mamaya i-announce ko rin po yan, hindi lang naman po yung namatay. Kung hindi, yung pong mga deactivated voters.
Right.
Napakalaki po ng mga deactivated voters who were not able to vote in 2 consecutive elections in the millions, ma'am. In the millions.
Yeah. Understand that.
Umagulat yung mga kababayan natin na ganun kadami ang hindi nakaboto ng 2 magkasunod na eleksyon.
Commissioner, pasensya na po, but I need to take another short break. We will be right back. Sir, quick question, quick answer, please. When will the DQ cases of presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos be resolved?
The earliest 2nd week of April, the latest 3rd week of April, Ma'am Pinky.
All right. Comelec Commissioner George. So there's a press conference later at 10:30. We'll be watching that. Thank you, sir, for joining me here on The Source. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb.